gentlemen, this is Boney here, your resident medical doctor sporting some really beautiful hair. Welcome to lunch therapy. A lot of people are out on strike today, but I'm not one of them because they don't have skeletons in the union. They got rid of us with the Oompa Loompas. Anyway, over the last few years, we here at Lunch Therapy have had some real clowns on the show, and I'm not just talking about Joel. Over the last few years, we've had some circus performers and some other real weirdos, like Vernice Clier, I don't know, is she French? Joel Jeske, and Gayla Johnson. Blas Lorenzo's a real fool, but I guess he's also a clown. Anyway, just to name a few. Today, we got a guy that's high on crack. Oh, he's not? Oh, he used to be high on crack, and now he's a former crack clown. He's gonna crack your ass up. His name is comedian Richie Satori. So without further ado, welcome to Lunch Therapy.
I'm gonna get myself a modem. 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 Hello and welcome to Lunch Therapy. I'm your host, Joel Marshall. I'm just waiting for a flying car here because I'm in the future today. It's the weirdest thing. Suddenly got catapulted into the future because the present seems kind of lame right now. But it's a good thing we have Lunch Therapy to therapize ourselves. I wanted to, at the top of the show, I've got this great guest today. His name is Richie Satori. I'll tell you more about him. He started out as a clown. He's a comedian. He does one-man shows. He's just a force of nature. So we're looking forward to that. Boney, that's what I wanted to talk about. Boney's hair. Boney, my assistant, the skeleton you just saw, he grew some hair. He became a medical doctor over the COVID. So he's really made good use of his time. But last night, I think he was partying. I got up in the morning and the house was just a total shambles. The studio was just, everything was falling apart. And I thought maybe that raccoons got in here or something, but I checked the surveillance camera. Looks like he had some of his friends over. I don't know what to do. Boney, are you there? Could you explain yourself or something? I don't know. Boney.
That's not me, boss. They ain't got no hair, can't you tell?
Oh, no, that's you, I think, on the piano. I recognize the back of your head.
They're my friends, I guess. I mean, we did some time together.
Yeah, could
back
you not...
in the early 80s in Flatbush. We used to run in a gang. But, what do you want me to do? I can't control them, boss.
It's okay.
What am I supposed to do?
It's okay to have
kill them? Dismember them?
Right.
They're already dead. I guess I could take a mallet to their bones and turn them to dust, but anyway. Handle it, boss.
Okay.
You the boss. You handle it. Or
Sometimes I don't feel like I'm the boss, Boney. Ray says it is the future. It is the future, and, we've been waiting for the future to come for a long time, and I'm not sure, it's one of those be careful what you wish for kind of things, I think. Boney is taking the longevity treatments. Yeah, I know, it's working great. He's growing hair. Maybe if he does a little less partying, he could... I guess he doesn't have to worry about wrinkles because he doesn't have skin, right? Bone broth. Thank you. I'm going to have to get some bone broth. Thanks, Ray Scanlon. Ray Scanlon is a comedian. So good to see you here. We got a great comedian for you today, too. Maybe you guys know each other. I don't know, but we'll find out. Let's get into this thing. We're going to do a little bit of breathing before the show starts. Yes, well, I think we all need this. Things are a little bit stressful. I don't know, maybe it's just for me. I don't know. It's the Very Grateful Dead. Thanks, Howard. Life. Let's see what this says. Let's take a good look at this because I think it's going to be helpful. No, it's gone. It's totally gone. I thought maybe. Hold on, let's do this again. All right, one more time. Life must be lived on a higher plane. We must go up to a higher platform to which we are always invited to ascend. There, the whole aspect of things changes. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Okay. All right, Bloss is not here. He's on his way. He's like, I don't know, in transport. Maybe got one of those flying cars. Maybe it didn't work. Maybe it fell out of the sky. Maybe it's too soon for that. I like to make music that feels warm and magical. All right, in through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. Richie is in the green room. So glad to see him there. I hope that he is breathing as well because we get high on our own supply here at Lunch Therapy. In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. Right, one more. In through the nose, out through the toes. Let it go. So this is Healing Vibrations. This is one of their new ones called Trauma Healing Sound Therapy, Music from the Spiritual Plane. So that's cool. You can go over to their YouTube channel. It's called Healing Vibrations. There's also one where it's just a black screen, and then you can hear the music, and you can hear the sound bowls. You can sleep, get a good night's sleep. The links are in the show notes. Ray Scanlon says, "Ghouls trauma." I like to quote people on the show. Usually, if you put it in the chat room, I will vocalize it. So, there you go. If you need anything vocalized, I'm your man. I'm going to be bringing Richie on soon, but I just wanted to share with you. A lot of times we have people that play instruments on the show. And this is PanArt. These are some instruments. The original instrument we talk about is the hung. They make that, but they also make these other instruments. And this is at the factory, the PanArt workshop, where they make these instruments. And I'm just a big fan. They're unconventional instruments, but they make such an unusual sound. The main guy who makes all of these, they all make them and play them. If you've ever seen a hung drum, this is where they come from. If you've ever seen a hand pan, this is the inspiration for the hand pan, which is a very similar instrument, but they are usually not made in this very So Richie Satori is also a yoga instructor, certified recovery yoga instructor, which is really interesting. He also is a former clown, as Boney mentioned. And now he's a stand-up comedian that goes around all over the country. He's done stand-up comedy in 30 states, in 4 countries. gone on strike. Today was the first day. God knows how long that's going to last. But I'll be out there picketing, and I'll be out there with the roving reporters reporting to you from the front lines. Lunch therapy. There's the guitar thing. Anyway, we just want to send out a thank you to PanArt. A long time ago, I had an email conversation with the inventor, and it's super interesting. I'll share that maybe on Tuesday. Anyway, let's get into this thing called Lunch Therapy Interview Friday. I'm going to bring Richie on here now. I'm going to show a little clip of his, and then we'll bring him on. So this is a little introduction. I already said a lot about Richie, so I don't want to ruin it for you because the drama is intense. But let's just say this is a comedian, a survivor, a really inspirational person that out of Atlanta, Georgia. And many of you might have worked with him before. I don't know, maybe Ray Scanlon. But let's get into this thing Interview Friday.
I'm going to be celebrating 18 years clean, February 9th, 2032. I can't wait. Let's do this. I had a lot of early signs that I was an addict. I just didn't pay any attention to them. Like I used to play Candy Crush, but with Percocet. I turned down a free trip to Disney World because they have a policy, no cutting lines. Any of y'all, but I got a tattoo of my clean date. Post-dated that shit. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I would intentionally leave my drink unattended at a bar. My coffee pot smelled like crystals, but Folgers had nothing to do with it. I did volunteer to go to Afghanistan though, so, but it was just to cut out the middleman. Oh man, I actually could drive for 2 days straight using just my knee. I'd be like, I did not even have a car.
Richie Satori, welcome to Lunch Therapy. How's it going?
It is good. I'm sorry. I'm without headphones today, so hopefully
that's okay. No worries. I hope it didn't stress you out.
Oh, look, that's my old stomping ground behind you.
Yeah.
That's why I used to stay in the back of that 18-wheeler.
Tell us about that. 15 years old. First of all, okay, so I want to go before that. When you were a little kid, you used to spin around like a whirling dervish to get high. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. My brother had to remind me of this. I didn't remember. So there was DARE, like not to age myself too much, but drug abuse, resistance, education.
Yes.
I've been building up my resistance to drugs for years. It hasn't done fuck all. But yeah, so like all they bring in this, like some fat cop comes in with a suitcase full of drugs and's like, don't do drugs. And all I could think is like, wow, it's a magical lunchbox, where can I get one? So it wasn't really effective.
Yeah.
Promoted by Nancy Fish Scale Reagan.
Right. Dare to keep up. This was just say no to drugs, right?
Just
say no, darn it. What, you got a problem? Just say no.
I think because she wanted to hoard them for herself. She looked like, I don't know, E.T., but no, she did half the cocaine in Bolivia before they recorded that commercial. But, so yeah, anyway, like I'm in the basement and I'm just whirling my ass off, and my dad walks in and he's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I'm like, "This is my alternative to using drugs." And I'm sure he's thinking like, "Oh God," but
Well, it's interesting though because the Sufis do that where they whirl in the whirling dervishes. They do this, and
something.
they achieve a spiritual plane of existence that way. So it's not like it's not nuts at all. It's like a real thing. Like you were tapping into something that's real.
Right, yeah, Rumi and me, like I'm right there with like.
Yeah. The
But no,
Sufis.
yeah, I remember like discovering, oh, there's a whole religion based on this, like, and I was like super like stoked to like try to learn more about it. And but yeah, I used to have like a whirling dervish music track thing I would listen to. But so that was my that was my gateway, I guess you could say. Not really, no, my gateway was like pharmaceutical prescription drugs.
Really.
But my dad's like, like if you weren't spinning around, would you be like in a treehouse, abandoned treehouse, like shooting up pixie sticks? And I'm like, you snort
Well,
pixie,
some kids
you know,
it's just sugar that they get high on. You know what I mean?
exactly right. That's
Everybody
the
finds
real.
their thing, right? Kamala said, "Richie, you are very freaking funny. You are super funny. I love
Oh,
your
thanks.
this."
Cheers.
We're gonna show some more clips from that later on. Ray Scanlon
Cool.
says safer than huffing gas. You know Ray at all?
True.
Ray's a great
I'm
comedian.
super bad with names. Ray Scanlon. That does sound familiar.
He's also a TikToker, like full on
Okay.
hilarious
I just
TikToker. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I did my first like Instagram live yesterday, so like
Did you?
I've got my TikTok waiting. I haven't even like started screwing up on that. But I talked to my phone for 10 minutes before I realized I hadn't pushed like the start.
I saw you go live last night, and I thought, well, I don't want to ruin it. I better wait till tomorrow to go live with him.
It was very dystopian. Like I was trying to be my own guest, and it was just this like like one person listening party. But no, it was fun. I'll have to check them out on Ray. If you follow me at Satori Stories on TikTok, I'll follow you back and check out your stuff. And
Sounds good. He says that
yeah,
you've met Ray. Where did
we
you guys meet?
where do we
Maybe you can
meet?
tell us. Yeah.
I have dysnomia. It's
No,
like a
don't
technical
even. Don't worry about it. Like we
term.
see so many
Much
people. You know what I mean? Like,
when
do
you're
you have
thinking.
dysnomia? Brad
I think
Pitt?
I did.
Like Brad
Well,
Pitt?
oh, he has it.
He has. He can't recognize faces or something like that. He says that he just
I
something.
just don't. I don't remember names.
Uh,
Like, yeah, I think it came from trying to keep up in school, and I would just skip all the names of like cities and lakes, which is really pretty
Ray says
embarrassing. Yeah.
Punchline, the same place where you just were, and in that clip. Is
Oh
that in
yeah.
Atlanta? Is that in Atlanta?
Are you in? Okay. Well, we'll have to connect. We're
Yeah.
probably already friends on Facebook. That's always a.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, I'm in Atlanta, and that was live at the Punchline in Atlanta. I got a big show. Oh, at the Laughing Skull too.
Yeah.
Yeah, going to be doing my stand up for recovery. Not to jump ahead,
Oh, I
but
want
just
to
to
jump ahead.
tease,
Oh, wait,
tease the
that's not it. That was something I want to bring on later, but I have your flyer here for Stand Up for
Oh,
Recovery.
wicked! Yeah. Well,
Let's check it out.
we can get back into that. But if anybody wants to check out, you stand up number 4 recovery.com. Stand up for recovery. The 4 is spelled with a numerically.
4.
And yeah, the Stand Up for Recovery Comedy Fest is going to be at the Atlanta Comedy Theater in Norcross this September. But we'll get into that. There's a flag.
There we go.
Screen that boy.
A little
And
poster
I'm also
there for you.
stand up number 4 recovery on TikTok.
And the links are in the show notes to this. So
oh hell
definitely.
Yeah. So,
yeah, we want to get into that. So
let me
you're whirling dervish. Let's go back to that. You're whirling
Sure.
around your basement, and you're like, "Hey, you turn 15. You're like, I'm gonna go join the circus." Is this what happened?
There's a little bit of a gap there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll try to fill in the circus and the drug details together in some timeline. So yeah, let's see. I was whirling dervish, then like yeah. So we moved from like outside the Washington D.C. area to what felt like the middle of nowhere, and I was like, it was my parents didn't know like where to put us in school. It was pretty rural, so like they put us in a private school, and I was just like bouncing off the walls. And they got me on like a medication for my ADD AF disorder, and I pretty much immediately started abusing that. I thought it would help pass the time quicker to get out of there. That's not how speed works. I found out, unfortunately.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way, apparently.
You hit a portal, but
But you know what? When they start to prescribe you drugs at a young age, you start to think, oh, well, that must be the solution to all my problems, I would imagine.
exactly. And I'm not like anti
Mhm.
pharmaceuticals. Like
Yeah.
I've come around to it considerably, but I feel like what they can allow you to do, at least from an addiction perspective, is put you in a position to then start doing the work on yourself.
Mhm.
It's not just a magic pill type of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
now I'm finally on a medication for my ADD again, like 20 some 30 some years later, whatever, like and it's a non-stimulant, so I
Mhm.
can't shove it up my nose, which is great. So
That's good. That's good.
but,
The
I mean, I got some serious nostrils.
so were there a lot of prescription drugs like available at your school when you were in this like private school or what? Or like what
No, I
happened?
mean,
How
as a
did you get
teacher,
involved with
I
that?
had like
The off market.
resentments.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, it was pretty much prescribed. Like she was like, yeah, your son, whatever, is like, I can't teach class with him interrupting. I think I was finding my inner comedian,
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't learn by sitting at a desk and staring at her ass, but yeah, so but yeah, so
I think
we
that's
moved.
probably true. Like sitting, a lot of kids can't
Mhm,
just sit at a desk and learn. Like you have to be moving around or you have to be engaged in doing something
exactly,
physically. And we all learn differently, you know? And so
for
if
sure.
if you're teaching people all the same way, there are going to be some kids. And that's why I find that a lot of performers, they found something like theater or band or something where they were like
Right.
physically doing something and it like really like helped them.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm just seeing like a correlation now to um basically being a kid and being in recovery, because in recovery, it's important to find an outlet for processing like emotions and stuff, like an
Yeah.
outlet, creatively. I work as a creative recovery coach as well. And so there's singing, dancing, poetry, comedy, storytelling, acting, different ways, you can help
So in a
process.
recovery program, sometimes you go back and like relearn about how to express yourself, how to find creative outlets because maybe you go to the drugs because you can't stop the voices in your head or something like that, you know? I mean, is it
Sure.
like you're finding new ways to channel these things that are actually creative, but
Hmm.
they feel like they might be overwhelming? And maybe
And I
that's
left
why
out
you numb
music.
yourself, you know?
Yeah, I think the big part about with processing emotions, and I guess it's two part, but with the processing emotions, there's like, um, when you use in a unhealthy way, let's say, that you wind up numbing yourself to not only the bad but also the good. And essentially, when you stop using, there's a lot of stuff that's been intentionally or inadvertently suppressed that kind of comes up, and it usually comes out as like composite emotions like anger or what have you, and it's a lot to handle and process. And so having these outlets can be very therapeutic, and even if you're not a person with a using disorder. And I think the other part is like they say that your emotional maturity kind of gets stunted when you start using, and then when in recovery it sort of resumes. So um you
Great
know
Wordless says he's a teacher. He says a lot of teachers can't stay seated either.
That's the teachers are standing. Come on, like
Yeah.
they're antsy and
Well, a lot of my
that's
friends that like had trouble in school, they're teachers now. Okay.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's
They just need to
cool.
get up in front.
Yeah, right. each kid teach for a day, like a
Yeah.
healthy democracy. Just
Yeah. It's
that's
so
cool.
interesting. So what made you join the circus? Did you like
Yeah,
join the
so
circus like, hey, I'm gonna run off with the circus, or what happened?
legit. Yeah. Right before we moved from DC, we went to go see Cirque du Soleil's first North American tour.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like 13, and it literally just kind of shattered on one hand like the whole paradigm of what circus even was or could be, because I was familiar with like the traditional American three Ringling Brothers, which is a fun show and all. But this was definitely groundbreaking. It was like cotton candy flavored ayahuasca, and I fell in love with the circus and half the cast. It was amazing. And then we moved, so it was from like Cirque du Soleil. My mind's like blown to then going to like the bumfuck nowhere at 13, and so
Cirque
I
du
was
Soleil was mind blowing. I mean, the first time I saw it was just like, because I was in the theater already at the time, and I was just like, oh, why even bother doing the theater that I'm doing? Look at these people. I mean, this is unbelievable. And there, a lot of times they're like risking their lives, especially when Cirque du Soleil first came out. They didn't have nets.
right. Oh, they were street performers. They were like
It's nuts.
bloody
But it's just like a
buskers.
miracle. Yeah.
It's a
So
fantastic,
yeah,
it's a
so
great
inspiring. So then you
origin
moved to
story.
like a rural place, and then what happened?
Right. So I think I'd kind of planted some seeds. Um, it was in the middle of nowhere, didn't know anybody. And then my brother, who's a couple years older, like we started to meet a couple, like one or two cool people, and one of the girls was a field hockey player, so she had like field hockey balls, and I started like messing around with that. And I think when I was like a lot younger, I got one of those Klutz book of juggling, and it was like, I can't do it. Next thing, I want to be a ninja this week. I got to be a fighter pilot next week,
Yeah.
But it was just something I was like, maybe I'm going to try to learn juggling again. And then it clicked, and it was like, I was kind of hooked because I had, just sort of the satisfaction of learning sort of quickly. And I think I'd always enjoyed kind of being a little bit of the center of attention, making people laugh.
Mm-hmm.
I was the youngest, and like, dress up and mix and match of my parents' clothes and stuff, and put on crazy makeup and just, try to do
Yeah.
bits, I guess. But so I just credit my dad for getting me into W.C. Fields. Who's like an old comedian from the early
Love
talkies.
WC
And he was
Fields.
he was a juggler. He had a lot of great jokes about alcoholism. I mean, he was.
Yeah, I mean, he was a real character. He was just a real character. I
Yeah,
mean, like,
H2O, hell twice over.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
drink water, fish function in it. Who put the orange juice in my orange juice?
You cannot
Yeah.
forget these people. I mean, they just are indelible.
And he
Really,
started
really
as like a really great juggler. He was like trick pool player, and did shtick with
Really?
Mae West, but so I started doing some theater classes, and they were like, find a character, somebody in history to research, and come back and tell us about it. And this sort of like launched me into like the silent comedies, the old vaudeville comics, and I became obsessed with Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton and the Marx Brothers and all those greats. And then I think so. I had sort of these things going on, and then was like, I got the idea. I think starting to like, I need to make money to get out of here, so I'm going to start street performing. And then it was like, I'm going to join the circus and da da da. And so I'd strung up a tightrope in the backyard. I had my art teacher at school gave me an old unicycle that her kids almost like broke their necks on. And so I don't know if that was a kind gift or passive aggressive, but
Knock yourself out, kid.
Mrs. Morgan.
Almost killed my kids. Just knock yourself
Yeah.
out. A rope. I don't know. Do like a slack line or something.
Yeah. And I'm like throwing knives and the juggling, and I'm just it gave me a creative outlet, and I think it was a way to process the emotions of like, fuck, I'm stuck here, this sort of creative goal, kind of like during COVID, peak COVID, I can't remember what I was doing. Or when I got arrested, flash forward to when I got arrested, I bought a van. I couldn't drive. I couldn't leave the state. I was on probation, felony charges, da da da. And I buy this van, not just to stare at it pissed off, but it became a symbol of freedom for me. So like, I think during COVID, I can't remember what I was working on.
That's so interesting because when I was a little kid,
Selling all my shit.
a van was like the symbol of freedom. I mean, this was like the 70s.
Yeah.
Right? People had water beds in vans. My goal was someday to have like a really crappy looking van, but then you go inside and it's all like shag carpets and water bed, and mirrors and all that stuff. Like that was like my goal, at the time.
Right.
Now
So I'm in
freedom.
like, that's awesome. Yeah. So I guess it wasn't anything new for a van to become a symbol of freedom. It's part of.
It is freedom, right?
It is. Yeah.
On
it's
the
great.
Open road, you got your house. It's like you're like a turtle.
Yeah. I'm now on my second van.
Yeah.
The first one was like a old 1992 Ford Econoline. It steered like a boat and horrible gas mileage. And I just wanted to see if it was something I'd really wanted to continue to pursue before like saving up and more and getting a Sprinter van. So now I'm like 10 years into my van life journey. I'm on my second van, 2 years full time this September. I'm at a friend's office right now, but
is that how you've been able to tour the United States?
It is 100%. It's
how
me.
Do you? This is great. How do you do that? Like, how do you schedule it? Do you call clubs?
The tours, man, it's really hit or miss. My first tour, I got really lucky. Just kind of pulled it out of my ass, and like, I was able to string it together. The second, and this is usually September, National Recovery Month. I'm like, stand up is something that I got into after I got arrested, and I realized, I need to do stand up. Again, that was my outlet for processing these. I was learning these things about me at meetings that I was like, yeah, I guess I kind of see that. Like, and I just didn't want to sit with that. I needed to find the relief, like they say, like stand up is like you create tension and then you release the tension, and that's the laughter.
Yeah.
So, so all of my stand up was pretty much.
So, okay, you got arrested.
Yeah.
And that's what made you get sober, or how did that go?
Yeah, that was the impetus. Like it was, it's not that I didn't want to stop. I just didn't necessarily know how to stop.
Yeah.
I think it stopped being fun in those last couple of years. I just went right to like extreme paranoia when I would use, and I'd constantly try to, Vans rock, Chuck.
Totally. This is like
the Vans are rocking.
Yeah.
I need new struts. So
it's challenging, isn't it, with the comments and then the comments and you talking in the comments. I love it. Let's see what Matt says here. I can say from experience that a carpeted tour van will grow a kind of mushroom that you don't want to see anywhere else. That you won't see anywhere else. If your tube top gets cracked. No, well, I don't know. Your top gets cracked and lets the rain in. Okay, so if the top of the van gets cracked, you'll get a special kind of mushroom, I guess.
Sounds fun. I guess no worse, or maybe worse, but like, then you can get in your sticks and brick house. But yeah, the moisture is a thing. You need ventilation. You need to insulate. You need to.
But that's true with the house.
Barriers and all that good.
You got to do whatever. I want to show this clip just to distract you further. Not that I'm trying to like make you crazy, but
this is
I want to show a physical comedy clip, because this is one of the things. We have had several clowns on this show.
You mentioned Joel Jeske. I knew him in New York. Clown.
Yeah, he's great, isn't he?
Yeah.
So we've had Joel Jeske on the show, and we have also had other comedians who started out as clowns, and I think it adds like a great physical, because you're already doing the physical kind of thing. So I'm going to show one of these clips here.
I met Steve-O, and I think he thought it was like Desperately Seeking Susan. I'm like, I used to be in the circus and was a clown, and I'm also in recovery and now doing stand-up. Will you do my podcast?
Right.
I think his next episode, he's like, so I'm not doing any podcast unless I've like heard it before. But now he's in a band, so the tables have.
You see, tables have turned.
And even more creepy next time I meet him.
But you know that I know
Funny.
I've seen pictures of you like with other comedians. Like you go around, you do a lot of shows, and you take pictures with the comedians, which I think is
Mm.
super cool. And but it's also you have to have the people that are your role models, you know. And so when you meet
Yeah,
them, it does feel weird because you're like,
yeah.
but you
And I
know,
have a list of like 50 amazing comedians that happen to
yeah,
be sober or clean. You know, those words get interchanged a lot, but
yeah,
that's always inspiring to me. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Okay, I'm going to show this
Shout out
clip.
to Mike DiStefano. He's now passed on or passed over or passed
Yeah.
through or ascended or descended, but he was the comedian that I heard that was like really inspired me to do comedy for the recovery community. It's like, oh, there's like literally nothing you can't say. And yeah, he died sober. But check him out on YouTube sometime. Mike DiStefano. He's got a couple
Okay.
albums. Okay, Karma. Anyway.
Awesome. Okay, now I'm going to show this clip of you and this physical bit that you do.
A lot has changed in recovery, you know, and my 8 years clean. I used to have really bad allergies, but I'd be like,
I oh my God, so
I forgot that was on that.
yeah, we had a question. So I've got a question about that, and you do that in your one-man show as well, which is really cool. And
Yeah.
we just lost here finally. Let's see. Okay, so hi Bloss, be quiet.
Hey.
My co-host
Rich.
Bloss is here just to make things more distracting for you.
So like it's a game show.
Yeah. So you have a thing that you wear around your neck. You put the microphone in it.
Right.
Why
I
do you
learned-
do that and not just put it in the stand?
That's a good idea. I hadn't thought of that. I'm a complicated person, and
You are,
I
but maybe
overcome-
it's better that way though. I mean, I think
Well,
it's so
it's a
interesting.
tip I learned from magicians, I think, because I used to do a lot of comedy variety, which kind of came out of the circus, did comedy variety for like 10 years. So,
Mhm.
you're juggling your object of manipulation magics, that shit like that. And
Yeah.
it just sort of frees up your hands. So if you have to do anything in front of you,
Mhm.
I think part of it was just like a muscle, just trying to practice.
It's good though, man. It looks
Yeah.
hella old school and shit.
This is Bloss here. Bloss. Let me bring
It
it
looks
it's
hella
kinda
old
like-
school, bro.
Right. Yeah. That was a
Because I know
throwback to
magicians
my
use that.
predecessor.
That's the first hands-free microphone.
Yeah. Right.
The hook,
Oh man.
the microphone hanging right there. Yeah,
I think it's
I
like
got a
so.
buddy. He's a comedian,
turn
and
away-
he wears it like that still. I love
That's
it. Man.
funny.
Old school
Because
shit.
if you turn away from the mic, if it's whatever cardio or omnia or whatever, you'll lose the. So if you're talking
yeah.
during a bit, it's a little more challenging than if it's just there when you move.
Yeah, but
So
hands-free though, like you said, juggling, right, bro?
Yeah.
And then, or if you're doing a magic trick, and here's the other thing too that's great about it. So it's on a hook like this, right?
Right.
So if you're on the mic stand and you turn your head, you can't, you lose a voice, right? But if it's
Exactly.
on you all the time, because I have a buddy that used to be a magician too, and he used to go, like you hold the mic, you put it down, you want to talk to somebody, you go like, hey man, like that, right? He used to go, hey listen, I don't want anybody to hear what I'm telling you right now.
Like,
And everybody's talking still. Here's what he said. It's
I
just-
love that.
That's
funny
hilarious.
but when I saw that, I was like, going, oh, she's got the fucking old school first hands-free microphone ever and shit.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, Bloss.
It was
I'm
a
putting
funny
you-
little.
No problem, man.
putting you back in just because we'll get so distracted here. We'll never, ever be able to move on.
I was just gonna make
glad
one
you're here.
point. So coming out of having this comedy variety background, like it was just a natural inclination when I started stand up to be thinking more, if not at least the same about like the written comedy versus physical and visual, because that had been really my language more so than talking, which I did, I had jokes, but none of it was personal. So anyway, but
I love
So-
that because then you go coming from a different place than most people. Most people, they're just right up here, and you're coming from down here, from the
Huh.
body.
And now I'm really trying to get back to that. Not so much props, but like I had like a lot of training, like physical theater, mime, clown, etc. And I'd love to try to marry those two back together now. So my stand up is more playful, more in that spirit.
You went to the North Carolina School of the Arts, is that right?
Yeah, shout out to the Fighting Pickles.
Yeah, tell us about that, because I've always heard about that school and it sounds cool. Did you?
Yeah,
what was that like?
It was pretty dope. I thought about going to like trying to apply for schools in like the city, and I knowing myself, I was like, I'm gonna just be like every night going out and not thinking much about school. And I was like, if I can study, theater in like a sort of more, less distracting environment, then I'll get more, I'll learn more. One of the big draws, has like a highly ranked school. And that year, I think I had been applying for Ringling Brothers, like when I was like 16 and 17.
Mm-hmm.
And then like you have to be 18 to go to clown college. And so I'd been applying, and I was sort of like a toss up. Do I go to clown college or do I go to a school that actually has a good reputation? And there was two cool things. There was a guy, Bob Francesconi. I think he just retired, and he actually, all of the first year students learn juggling, and he has like a cool background with like the San Francisco mime troupe.
Oh,
and
yeah, they're great, right?
And the first year acting teacher, Yuri Belov, shout out to him too, he passed away. He was the musical director for the Moscow Circus, and he was like, he was an amazing clown teacher. He was Robin Williams' clown coach in I think in Patch Adams, and so he was the first year acting teacher. I'm like two birds, one stone, and so yeah, he kind of became my mentor while I was at college, which was pretty lit. And then I went out to San Francisco to continue to train with him after I dropped out of school 1 week before graduating.
Oh, you did? No. Why'd you do that? I don't understand why people do that.
I'm good at running away, run away and join the circus.
You want to finish it. But I know.
The plan was to run away and join the circus, but as I say in my show, my parents found out and run the whole thing, and they're like, we'll drive you. And
they ruined the whole story.
But they actually, it was my mom and grandmother dropped me off. Yeah, and it was out of support. Yeah, so that was pretty dope. I
love that. All right. So were you going to be a clown? Like that's I'm going to be a lifelong clown, or did you have like aspirations to be a clown and then be a stand-up? Or when, you say that you went into stand-up because of recovery.
Right. Yeah. So I think I've always knew that I enjoyed making people laugh. Like I consider I've been a professional comedian since I was 15. I just had my 10-year stand-up comedy anniversary like yesterday.
Really? Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you, man.
10 years.
Yeah. So it's like,
that means 25.
When people say, how long have you been doing comedy? I'm like somewhere between, 10 years and 30 years. So,
yeah, right. That's the thing about, because it's clown. You were a comedian already.
Yeah, but a stand-up comedian, it's been 10 years. And that was, it came out of, I was on probation for, like I said, two years. Like it was, it was always good to literally, running away from my problems. And then when I got arrested, it was like, I couldn't run anymore. It was suggested I go to meetings, support group meetings, so I sort of had this epiphany. Well, it really was the first, I think, pivotal thing was at my first meeting. Like it was super awkward. I had to ask my mom to give me a ride to this 12-step meeting, and someone could like sense my uncomfortableness like afterwards, and they're like, man, before I got in recovery, I was a flaming asshole, but now I go to meetings, I got a sponsor, and I work the steps. Now I'm just an asshole. And I was like, oh fuck! It's like I could breathe again. Like I'd forgotten how to laugh, and so I credit being in recovery. I credit recovery for giving the first gift of recovery I got back was the ability to laugh and to laugh at myself, and luckily because I had gone to acting conservatory, like I was able to. I had to like petition the judge to like see if once a week I could drive like 2 hours to this comedy club for writing classes. I said it was like work related. And so I did this, and it was like a 6 or 8 week class, and I was getting my fix. And I was afraid to share at meetings because I hadn't had my court date yet. I thought anything I would say could be used against me, and like everybody I thought was a narc. Like I was coming out of some dark shit and had some major trust issues, and
Yeah.
so I was able to get on stage, and I thought, I could actually share some stuff. They say, we're only as sick as our secrets, and pain shared is pain blessed. And these are slogans from 12 Step. But,
Love that though.
I thought if I got in trouble or, if it came up, I could be like, hey, I was just kidding. But so I literally did this class like 4 times in a row. I just kept taking the class. And so that was really kind of kicked things off for me.
So you also do a one-man show. There's Circus Still in Town, which is sort of similar to that quote that you had from the person in the 12-step program. It's
Right.
a George Carlin quote, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because I was at my first convention or like a second convention. I'd be able to go to these conventions and things recovery related with permission, and I heard that quote. The monkey's off our back, but the circus is still in town.
Yeah.
And it was like a light bulb going off in my head. I had done one-person shows before. They'd always been more character-based,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh fuck, like I think I was doing stand-up and working on stuff autobiographically, and just I was like, what if I put things in chronological order? Blah blah blah. Like I could do a solo show, and then that really gave me a sort of a sense of purpose, or sort of a drive and some purpose and an intention, and feeling like, okay, now I'm in my domain in the theater. So I've always been, I guess, sort of a theatrical comedian.
Sometimes people, I think, feel like, and I mean, Richard Pryor was one of these people. They feel like their talent somehow is tied to the drug. Like he got really. People said it was hard for him to get on stage, even though he was just as funny. It was hard for him to get on stage without the drugs at first.
Yeah,
and
I'm grateful. I never did pure stand-up before I got clean. I did actually try it in New York, and I loved it. I just was nowhere near ready to be myself.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would be harder had I been doing stand-up a while, well on drugs, and then try to get clean, because everything would be more similar. Maybe possibly triggering. But yeah, definitely was, not always sober when I, performed historically before that. So
you feel like
seems like the time is right.
Yeah.
Seems like it happens, because it's supposed to happen.
Because it's supposed to happen. Yeah,
right.
Sometimes you have to, that's what they say in the 12 steps, let go, let God, or something to that effect, your higher power. And sometimes you just really have to give into that, even though you might be scared, but it's like, oh, this is the time. And, I like little phrases like that. I remember I quit cigarettes, but I'm still smoking, stuff like that, because you feel like you when you have an addiction, you feel like it's part of your identity.
Right.
But it's actually holding back most of the time, and keeping you from being your
fear, insecurities, all that stuff.
It's true about enlightenment too, and I want to talk to you also about your yoga and that kind of thing, because that spirituality, sometimes people try and leap to enlightenment through psychedelic drugs or whatever it is, and a lot of times what they're doing is they're taking a shortcut that might seem really good in the beginning, but because they've taken the shortcut, they don't get the full benefits, and they end up crashing and burning. So that's something I'd love to talk about.
Next segment with Richie Satori. Lunch therapy.
I like to break it up with these bumpers.
I'm
All
just,
right, we're on the move.
Doing the
we're on the
super
move. I love it.
professional thing of plugging in my computer mid
Oh yeah, that happens to everybody too. I
It's
always
like
before
saying
the
like,
show.
"Oh, I'm sorry, I'm late. Traffic was bad." It's like, no shit.
Before the show, I have to
Oh,
tell
you're-
everybody: use the bathroom
Tablet needs
and
power.
plug in your computer because
Yeah.
we're gonna be in. We're gonna be.
I was
Hunkering
literally like
down.
roasting that person that I just became 5 minutes before this. But oh yeah, so some things I heard in a meeting.
Look, Ray says that I
Cool.
had a hard time because I thought my addiction was my creativity.
Yeah, and so it's
There
like that sort of speaks to the cunning, baffling mystery. I think like sure, like, and not there's no blanket statements. I know like, but I know I can only speak from my experience. Like, sure, experimenting has maybe opened certain doors, and I don't regret the past. I've learned to try not to.
Mhm.
But there can be diminishing returns. I remember having like this crazy experience, and I think I come up with the meaning of life, and then I look at my notebook the next day, and not only can I not read it, like my pen ran out of ink on page 1, and I like filled the notebook with I thought was, God damn.
You're still writing?
Yeah. My dad taught art in the 70s and 60s, and he said that people would just tell him like how great their work was, and then you'd look at it and be like, it's just a lump of clay, you know. And
What
they
is
just in their
that?
mind, it was like incredibly mind blowing, you know.
But this is something I wanted to say. I heard at a meeting, a point you brought up, and I heard it, and so I don't know if it's true or not, but it was food for thought. That they say like the part of your brain where you have like I guess where you get high and stuff is actually, or whatever the receptor, but part of the brain that's activated when you're high. And I'm not talking about like smoking a joint, really, but like that's also the part like where you have like sort of maybe like where it's like your crown chakra, whatever, speak yoga language, and it's kind of like hard for, or not necessarily possible for, those two places to coexist. So it's if you're trying to like do drugs to get closer to God or something, for example, you're kind of like
Walking it.
I don't know, putting on.
Yeah. Well, okay, so tell me about that. Did they use yoga in recovery? Is that like a
kind of, and I've struggled a lot with the G word too. I know that can be a real turnoff for people. Like for me, it's
wait, what's the G word?
God. Like,
God.
like
I was like,
sometimes you
God,
feel
Joel.
like you're getting preached to at a meeting.
I don't
If you're
know what
going
it
there.
is.
Richie and I'll introduce you to him eventually.
Thanks.
No, I mean I have like a really good spiritual relationship with my higher power, whom I choose to call Tyler Perry.
Right, I love it.
I live in Atlanta. But
good
no,
God.
like for me, it's like I
Inspiration.
borrow from Buddhism. I borrow from Native American spirituality. I like to give thanks to the Great Spirit and Mother Earth. It's something tangible, like eating food and stuff and breathing air. Like I like that. And then I have a sense of that, the part of the sun that's greater than the whole of the. I can never get that expression right.
Yeah.
I think in Portuguese it's cinco non, but it's easier to say.
I like it.
That quote that's been misquoted so many times or taken out of context, but
yeah.
Anyway,
I have
what were
a
you
question,
saying?
like a statement. I have a question, like a
plus.
Well, he just
Question
mentioned
or
several different.
statement. Okay, go ahead.
I don't know what it is.
Okay,
but when he started mentioning different gods, different spiritual beliefs, right? Like Jamel is similar in that form, and myself too. Is like we kind of found ourselves in that. I grew up a Roman Catholic, and I went through the sacraments. I got blessed. Baptized, confirmation, and communion, confirmation, right? And then I ended up getting married in the church, so I did all 4 of them. But my family is Catholic, and we go to church, and it got to the point to where my dad and I, like, we were going on Easter and Christmas and stuff like that, right? And you question stuff, and I started studying other religions, and like a couple of years later, I met Jamel, and he studied several different religions, But we had this conversation about how, our God is God, and you respect all the other beliefs that everybody has, but as long as you got a good spiritual connection, with who your God is or how your spiritual essence is, it's a huge part of your life. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It's you put everything in categories, and that is up there with how you exist and what you believe in and how you are. And that's not without being pushy about it with other people. It's just about everybody. I know it's my opinion, but you got to have some kind of spirituality. You know what I mean? You got to believe in something.
Maybe even
To me,
not
it makes me
believing in
feel good.
something is believing in something,
Yeah,
like
right.
What's that?
Maybe
I
not
said, maybe
believing in
even not believing, you
Yeah,
believe that there isn't
but
something. Well,
but
that's your
but
belief. And
something
that gives you makes you feel, that gives you
whole.
comfort. I
whole.
don't know. I don't,
I like that.
I'm
Yeah,
talking
but
about,
I agree with you. I'm just trying. I was saying this because I agree with you. You know what I mean? And
cool.
the show's about wellness and it's about humor. And like you're a great guest
Love it.
for this show.
Yeah,
What
this,
Love
you're
I
doing
mean,
and the
it. I've
comedy that
come
you're
Richie,
back
doing and
sometime.
comedy for
Yeah.
recovery kind of thing. It's like shit. It's right up there with the
And
best. The types of genre of comedy.
right on, man. Well, I was going to speak to that a little bit. If I don't,
yeah, go ahead.
I found that when I forget things, if I just let it, speaking of meditation, just,
Just let
it'll
it
come
come
back
back.
to me maybe.
Yeah, it
So,
comes back.
um,
I love that.
there's a couple like I've been so I work with people in and seeking recovery. Sometimes I'm a person in recovery, and I it's something that I want to be bulletproof in for the rest of my life. So I always like to try to examine things from different perspectives. If my beliefs change, is that going to be the reason I use to go out and use, or if somebody's struggling with something and they don't, this doesn't make sense to them, other ways to consider it. So um, I think even if, I feel like there's even possibly like like a scientific way that could explain how prayer even helps, because from somebody in addiction, they say it's like the obsession and or self-centeredness is at the core of addiction.
Hmm.
And, you know, that even if you say, if you try to pray or you pray and higher, there was no such thing as a higher power, you're still breaking the cycle of that obsession and compulsion. So it's almost like fake it till you make it, like,
Oh yeah,
to,
putting your
Or
attention out,
manifest.
putting your attention
Or
out and not on
yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
yes.
Universe.
So yeah, so if I ever get in a place where it's like, I don't know, like, but I know that it could still work and it could still keep me connected. But I do feel like I have a good relationship with and that gives me, especially doing van life on the East Coast where it's not like so open. I've got to be like stealth. Like, it allows me to be in solitude versus being alone. Like, that's
Yeah.
probably, that in comedy. I don't speak about it as much, the whole
Mhm.
higher power thing, because, you know, religion wasn't cool growing up, and spirituality isn't religion. But I think there's sort of a, I hear a lot of people sharing about higher powers that come from religion, and that might be a little triggering to me, or feeling how a newcomer might feeling like they're
Mhm.
getting preached at or something. So I try to keep an open mind about it. But I don't know if this is bullshit or not, but I like to think that, like, laughter is an example of a higher power, or a
Yeah.
power greater than ourselves. Did I already say this, or did it in my live yesterday?
No,
Okay.
No,
Am I
no,
repeating?
no.
no. I love it.
It's
So
weird. I'm
yeah,
having deja vu right now myself.
No, it's great because
Feel like the three of us
um,
sat down already.
a communal laughter like that suddenly unites everyone in a realization of joy, and that's got to be God, right? I mean, it's
Mm,
got to be the sense
Spirit.
of what God is. And spirit, it's the
Yeah.
connection of all of us in a joy, in a joyful
yeah.
way.
And
And so
much
when
like
we're all in a
music,
club and we all laugh at something,
love, yeah,
yeah, and you know that feeling too. You laugh sometimes and you look over at somebody you might not even
Oh,
know, and you're in a,
they're
exactly.
cracking up. They're cracking up.
It's
that's like the
it
greatest
doubles.
thing.
I think, yeah, there is like there, because I think there's like these they call it, you're familiar with the vagus nerve,
Hmm.
or the vagus
Yes,
Yeah.
nerve,
yes.
whatever. Yeah, so that's like, I can't remember. It's been a while since I did my yoga teacher training, but basically, I feel like that allows us empathy. And I think
Yeah.
maybe when you laugh at someone and you look at somebody else who's also human in this world we're in, like whirling around it.
Yeah.
And there's that extra layer of connection, because laughter, and I'm getting into a little bit of my PR pitch for my show, which I'm so passionate about producing. I've been working on press releases and stuff like that. But basically, like a lot of people say, comedy is about connection. Oh, excuse me. Recovery is about connection.
Yeah.
And laughter is a form of connection. So,
Yes.
It's
yeah,
similar.
Comedians,
It's
you're
similar. You
connected
know,
with
that
us comedians,
sometimes,
that's why you laugh.
and part of the things that a comedian does is share those things that maybe everyone isn't standing on the safe stage and sharing. And it
Yeah.
does bring us all closer together, just like going to a 12-step meeting. Really, I mean,
literally, that was another thing that inspired me, because you asked before, going to like, I heard people being hilarious without even trying. I was so jealous,
Yeah.
and it was coming from being honest. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And relating to it, and then being able to. I feel like part of the healing power of laughter is, like, to borrow from a Native American view on. Is they have sacred clowns, actually, like Heyoka and the different names, but
Yeah.
they hold up a mirror for society. And when people laugh at the proverbial clown or comedian, they're subconsciously able to laugh at themselves, which can be so hard to do. And then that creates a space for healing to begin.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Wow, that's
Speak
beautiful.
on it. Speak
That's
on it.
beautiful. You know, people in the chat room are really like, we're all like this.
Yeah, I heard
earlier,
that.
just a second ago,
What's up?
Yeah.
he was about to say, like, music. I heard he was about to start a sentence, and I feel as though you were gonna say how sometimes music connects people. Like, you put a
Yeah,
song
I
on,
was
and
gonna-
everybody goes, "Oh yeah!" And then
Totally,
it's the
yeah.
same as when a comedian says a joke, and everybody in the room's going, "Get up!" And you look over, it's the same. We're all having the same joy.
Yeah.
Right. And like, it's a
Laughing,
different experience
music.
if you're it can still be beautiful to, like, watch someone stand up special, for example, talking about comedy on Netflix on your laptop at home alone. But, like you were saying, like, when someone says something to make you laugh and you look at a stranger and it's like, yeah, like, I get it. We we're not alone. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's not just me. I'm not crazy.
Yeah. I'm not the only one that finds that funny. Yeah, you find that funny?
Right.
Or is your wife just like that? My wife is too.
That's awesome.
Airplane food is shitty. No.
Right. Whatever it is. Yeah, totally works. All right. I think we're going to have to end this show. It's been really beautiful. Really wonderful.
What was the date on that show? The one you just aired?
It's in September.
September 17th. And if you know anybody in Atlanta, if you're near Atlanta, please share it. This is also something, I've been on about 4 or 5 national tours during National Recovery Month, so always down to travel. I made it as far out. I tiptoed into California this past winter.
Yeah.
I was out in the desert chilling with the nomads.
Nice.
And so, yeah, definitely connect if you're,
Instagram, your Instagram is Dick Jokes.
Dick Jokes, one word, spelled in English.
The hashtag, or is it at?
It's
at
Dick Jokes. Yeah, that's it.
Dick Jokes.
So
and there's a link
because there's a lot going on, a lot coming down the pike, as it were.
Yeah. Can I get 1 minute just to give you a ram through the
let's do it.
So Stand Up for Recovery Comedy Fest is happening Norcross at the Atlanta Comedy Theater. Links are in my bio at Dick Jokes. Awesome lineup. Nima Williams, who's been on, you can see it on the flyer here. He's amazing. Walker Hayes and about 8 other comedians from various parts of the country. Part of the proceeds are going to Heroes Initiative, which raise money to provide Narcan to first responders in areas where they don't have it, which is an overdose reversal medication, which won't completely cure an overdose. You still have to get to the hospital, but it can save lives. And it's part of, and you can learn more about that at Reboot Jackson, REBOOT Jackson.com. You can find all this stuff at standup4recovery.com. And this is part of Mobilize Recovery across Georgia 50 stop tour, part of the Clinton Foundation, opioid response initiative. And it's dope. We'll come share our experience, strength, and jokes. We're all about the alchemy of turning pain into laughter. And, the pain shared is pain lessened, So we'd love to come to an area near you. Thank you guys.
What does Satori mean, by the way?
Satori is a Sicilian name. Oh, my camera's backwards.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm not going to tell you my real name,
okay.
But I will say that I was very paranoid.
Yeah.
And I was worried my probation officer was going to be Googling me because I'm so important.
Yeah.
So my last name is Sicilian. Satori means attaining enlightenment through unorthodox means, and Dick means a penis. So there's a gangster rap song. I think it was NWA, "Slap You with 9 Inches of Limp Dick," and that was pretty visceral imagery.
Oh my God, I remember that.
But the idea of attaining enlightenment through a dick joke just was like,
enlightenment through a dick
there's no
joke.
other name to pick if you're gonna come up with your own name as a comedian. Like I was like, why isn't everybody named Dick? And that's why I go by Richie now because dick jokes
because
can get
Richard
old.
is Dick. You dick.
And yeah, exactly. So Richie sounds a little cooler than hi, I'm Dick. Sounds like I'm trying to pick up.
Yeah, it's sort of old school too to be called Dick.
Introduce myself.
Ray Scanlon says, great show. This is a great show, Joel. Great guest. All right. I love
Thank
that.
you so much, Joel and Joel.
Hey man, great having you on, man. I'm so sorry I'm traveling and I was late coming in, but I was watching the show as I was coming in. So I'm always there. I'm always there, man. Great to have you, man, Richie. Really nice.
All right.
Cool.
So at the end of the show, I don't know if we told you, but we have to dance. There's a song.
Oh,
we're
word?
gonna play. Yeah. Dude.
I don't think I made it to the end of the last podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So at the end, what happens is I'm going to play a cover song by the great Adam Pierce. It's a well-known song. This is a really good rendition of this.
Does this mean I need to put on
pants? On the show. What? What's that?
Does this mean I need to put on pants?
No, you can dance just like this.
I was gonna like legit be naked when I came on, and I was like, my sponsor told me to get butt naked, man. Just gotta like free myself and just fucking tell it the way it is, man.
That'd be great.
Look,
that'd be really good for the dance part too.
Shadow band.
But yeah, we're just gonna enjoy it. We're just gonna enjoy the music. Sending the love, Jason Edelman. Thanks everybody for being here today. This was a great communal experience with the hummingbirds. Really appreciate everybody's input. Some of the stuff like this one here. Like all, laughter breaks our dependency on thought momentarily, like a Zen koan. Koan.
Woo!
Yeah, I love that. All right, here we go. Dance it out. We'll see you all in the dance break.
Welcome back, y'all. I've been putting this song off for a while, but today is the day. Stars to fill my dreams. I'm a traveler of all time and space to be where I have been. Sit with elders of a generation whose words are seldom seen. Talk of days who would say, sit and wait. All denying. Ooh, yeah. Oh, baby, I've been blind. Mama, yeah. No, ain't no denying. Mama, yeah.
So long, I'm gonna have to
Ain't no denying. No denying. Woo!
Lunch therapy, y'all. Friday.
Hey, when I'm on my way, yeah. Ooh, when I feel, when I slip away, then I'm there. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Ooh, yeah, yeah. And I'm down, so down. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Ooh, yeah, yeah. And I'm down, so down. Come on, oh, come on. Let me take you there.
Yeah.
Woo!
Adam Pierce.
Yes, indeed. Get the lead out. I think I beat my guitar slightly out of tune by the end of it, but that's rock and roll, baby. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that version. I changed up a little bit of the structure of that song. I shortened a few. Might have accidentally extended a few sections. I don't know, man. I was feeling it. I was into it. I'm not trying to be perfect. Just trying to have fun. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're enjoying this channel. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends to like and subscribe. Till
Adam
next
Pierce.
time.
And Richie Satori.
That was super fun, y'all.
Do a little focus. Yeah, we have time.